How's business?
Well, you should know. You were at the stockholder meeting.
Well, I had to duck out early, of course.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you have many, many responsibilities.
Donald called me again.
Sure. Well, he needs a lot of help.
He needs to lose my number is what he needs to do.
That would be nice. Of course, the CIA would just give it back to him. No, the business is excellent. Our numbers are strong this quarter. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure we're going to buy continually. Mm-hmm. There might be some selling involved.
Of course, occasionally you sell.
But also we're going to short the futures, mm-hmm. and we're going to be bullish on the commodities.
Yes.
Right. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a giant fraud.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the FoundryCast. My name is Cyrus.
I'm Zach.
And this is episode 16.
Alright, it's episode 16. We can drive now.
Yeah, we're legal to drive.
Yes.
Very special episode. We're calling it the Lego episode, and we'll talk to you a little bit more about what that's all about here in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
But what are we all about, Zach?
Well, yeah, so if this is your first time listening to the FoundryCast, or if you've heard us a little bit before but not been exactly sure who we are, what we do a website called TheFoundryCast.com, where we do some blogging, we do some videos, we've started doing some streaming as well. But basically, our whole deal is that we try at least to do content for creators. Mm-hmm. We're about creation, we're about building, we're about crafting, we're about making stuff.
And so it's a home for people who want to create content. We see ourselves as the founding members, and this is a thing that it may just be the two of us in perpetuity, or it may grow with the community, because that's what we're about as well. Mm-hmm. We like to make things and build things, and it's not just for us. If it's a costume piece, I mean, you made some fantastic lightsabers for other people to use in their costumes.
Sure.
I like to make terrain for tabletop games that my players get to enjoy. Yeah. I don't just have it sitting out on the table. So part of it is our tagline is build, craft, create. Right. And so anything in the spirit of inspiration that forces you to go out there and do the things that you love, that you're passionate about, whether it be writing, doing something with your hands, and making something out of possibly nothing, is something that excites the both of us. Yeah, and we appreciate you for joining us. We're also a lot about nostalgia, too, as you might be able to guess.
I was going to say, we do also a lot of geek and nerd kind of stuff. We look back at old stuff. We're, I guess, older as far as the geek scene goes these days. There's still a lot of guys and gals as old as we are or older, but more and more young folks these days growing up and liking nerdy stuff. So we kind of tend to look back at what we grew up with, but we also look to the new stuff, to the future. We talk about video games, we talk about comic books and movies, we talk about wrestling, we talk about
anything,
tabletop gaming, board games,
nerd culture, tech
stuff,
movies. And we also grew up in a time when being a nerd wasn't necessarily as chic as it is today.
Right.
Yeah. And then a lot of the movies and these subculture, these dark horse entities that are now kind of coming back out and people are getting into. So I think that's part of the fun nostalgia is that we get to uncover even cartoons that we grew up with as kids.
They're getting remade. They're remaking DuckTales, for example.
Yeah, we talked about that before, and I saw some of this. I don't know.
Jury's out. The animation style of that's a little not what I expected.
They did the same thing with Looney Tunes.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was okay. The love for the original product was there.
Yeah.
But when the animation is so different, it wasn't.
It feels strange.
Even what was the Looney Tunes in the future with spacesuits and magical powers, and they're all part mutant?
I have no idea.
That was a thing, and it was tough to watch.
Yeah.
But anyways, what else is going on in the world today, man?
Let's go over a little bit of recent news here to start our show off. I saw a rumor today. We were talking earlier about how we like movies and comic books. Obviously, the DC universe, they're trying to build it into something to equal Marvel's cinematic universe. They've been somewhat marginally successful so far.
Their television universe has been vastly superior,
both in terms of critical reception and in fan reception. But I saw something that piqued my interest with their film series. So the next Superman movie is coming out, a while from now. It's not even started production yet, but there's rumors that they're looking at Matthew Vaughn to direct it. Which you may not know Matthew Vaughn. He's relatively new, but he directed Kingsman.
Yes, very stylistic, sort of clever,
a really good movie,
subversive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting because it's a different departure from what they've done. So it's been Zack Snyder's verse so far, dark and comic booky and moody and grim. Kingsman was realistically dark, but it was also kind of over the top at the same time. It was an homage to James Bond. It was fun. It understood the material. It understood how to have fun with something mature. So
I don't have a problem with that. I think of a time when we can look back at a relatively unknown gentleman by the name of Joss Whedon.
Yes.
This Joss Whedon.
Joss. Yes.
Some guy. He had done this sort of CW, the WB channel show WB about kids and vampires, and then
based on the hit film,
based the blockbuster film that he also created and wrote and edited. But no, if Joss Whedon can come up from, I wouldn't dare say obscurity, but take what he did and did so well and put it in the Marvel universe, I have faith in anyone that they put at the helm.
Yeah, I think it could be a good decision. We'll see. It's not even official that he will direct it, but
if it's anywhere better than the last couple DC movies, then we're in for a treat.
Exactly. They have nowhere to go but up.
And I do have to take I just thought it through.
Yeah.
If we are considering Netflix as television, then DC is the worst at everything, because Marvel, while they have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I do like, they also have Jessica Jones. They have Luke Cage.
Yep.
They have Daredevil, which was awesome. And then coming up, I think it's later this week.
Which leads into the next story.
Yeah, you have that?
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist
is getting really bad reviews.
And I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Because I know we talked about this in a previous episode. You said you were really excited for this.
I'm excited, one, because I think they're going to do a good job with it. I think that there are preconceptions going in that... Jessica Jones, I think, had no preconceptions because virtually no one knew who she was.
Yeah, who knows what Jessica Jones is?
And it turned out to be this crazy, creepy, part detective, sort of film noir, pulpy feel, which was different than Daredevil. But Daredevil had been so mishandled before that when you have a triumphant return with it done well, and then... So there was an expectation. Luke Cage was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
And and it did have a take on the jiving 70s, almost borderline blaxploitation.
Yeah.
Just sort of opening up that culture to a fresh new audience.
It felt like homage to that.
Very much. Yeah. And the music was awesome. Every single actor in it, I think, was pitch perfect, although some of the character choices may not have been the greatest, but still, what are you going to get when you've got a 13-episode arc that I watched within 3 days? I'm going to see some of the gaps, I think, that I wouldn't have seen if I watched it in a better serial version, which is also something that we could talk about another time, that Joss Whedon is rallying against.
I saw that. He doesn't like binging on
and Netflix, I don't blame him.
No, I totally agree.
That's not the way shows are meant to be.
It loses a lot of the fun when you're not having to wait a week.
Why don't you just make me a 13-hour movie?
Exactly.
Oh, it's called Dune. Anyways, I think part of the biggest problem, without having read all the criticisms, is, of course, we have a white actor playing a character that is more Asian ethnicity, or at least in certain versions of the comic book. Right. But you have to cast based on who you have, who's going to do a good job for the story you're trying to tell. And there have been a lot of reimaginings where characters have come back as a different gender, as a different race. You just have to take that in. I'm just now getting over the fact that they recast Jimmy Olsen as a tall, good-looking black guy instead of a squirrely, midget, red-headed Caucasoid. he's for the Supergirl
I'm okay
show.
With that, yeah.
And I don't even really enjoy that show, but like this doesn't make sense. But now, to me, he's James Olsen.
Yeah.
I got to give them a pass on the casting choices. What other sort of issues have they been commenting? Just overall, not a poor showing?
Yeah, I haven't seen it full reviews yet. I just saw that it is getting some poor reviews. I saw one commenter say that it's Marvel's first miss, is what they said. Although my question to that is, did you see the Thor movies?
No, the second
Thor movies are
second
right.
Thor movie wasn't bad.
Yeah, they're fun. They're just not.
They're the lowest par.
Yeah, they're not amazing.
They're my least favorite of the newest, and we almost have to discredit everything before like Avengers. Everything before Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
And anything Iron Man post, we're looking at.
They found their stride.
They really did.
Oh yeah. Another little bit of entertainment news, a new upcoming thing that I just thought I'd get your quick take on.
Yes.
Amazon's going to have a new Tick show. Remember the Tick?
I've seen because the Amazon did a contest where there were four shows and they did a full production on episode 1.
Yeah.
The Tick was the only one I watched, and it wasn't bad. Now I have seen the original cartoon.
Yeah.
And I have on DVD still the live action version.
Yeah, the one with what's his name, the dude from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Love him to death.
Yeah.
And then just the rest of the cast was very, very strong. And it was the same level of humor. This is a little more of a modern reimagining. The Tick is still the Tick.
Yeah.
He's just not quite as funny.
Okay.
But you can see, if they do this with just a little bit of that grim dark still in there, that he is this fantastical character in a world that's super serious and dangerous.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it funnier that he's so strong and powerful, but I don't know if there's the balance of where I can laugh except for him. But then when he becomes so stupid, which he does, you almost need to have a villain whose head is made of a chair.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the original cartoon was definitely on the zany side. I'd be curious to see if it still works when you serious it up a little bit.
When he goes into Arthur's apartment, he's looking for the secret button to go into the lair, and he's punching holes through walls. It's still funny.
Yeah.
Even if it's a different actor who doesn't have quite the charismatic gravitas that Cuddy had. It's still good. I think it will do okay, and it will probably be funny, and maybe it's something that over a short series it could prove to be worth watching.
We'll see. Next up in the news, I thought I'd touch really quickly on the Switch, Nintendo Switch. It's out. It's in the world. We might talk about this a little bit later. It's having some issues.
I haven't gotten my hands on it. I really want to, because some of the people I subscribe to have given it some accolades, but they've also had some concerns. And I've only just been learning more about these other hiccups. What have you heard?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about some screen issues, and then I've heard the most common problem apparently is a Joy-Con connectivity issue, which is still not exactly clear how widespread it is. Nintendo said they're looking at it, but not much more than that.
Of course, Nintendo's going to say there is.
And they're going to say there's no problem.
Their official release comment was something like that there is no widespread technical problem.
Exactly. And like I said, we don't really know. The more the world gets interconnected on the internet, the more these types of things get reported. So,
or do they get hyped up? I mean,
it also gets hyped up as a news story.
At least they're getting reported.
Yeah. But I haven't gotten one yet. I have wanted to get one, but not enough to really go out and search hard for it. That has all changed as of today, because I was looking a little bit into some games that are on it. First of all, they're releasing new Smash Brothers on there. Well, not new, re-release of Smash Brothers.
Of it, sure.
Same with Mario Kart, which I love. I really want to play both those games. But more importantly, today, watching some gameplay footage of the new ToeJam and Earl game.
What?
It's going to be on Switch.
Okay.
And I am super stoked. It was the devs of the game playing it. There's multiple characters you can play as. It's the same setup as the first game, but there's also some side games from the second game included into it, like the Hyperfunk Zone. It looks awesome. Looks great. It looks so good. So, It's my killer app for the Switch now. I've got to get a Switch.
Isn't that just the way that you could say, I will never, ever, ever... Wait, Sonic is going to be in a Mario game?
Yeah. Like, I knew I was going to get a Switch eventually. I knew I wanted to get one by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Zelda Breath of the Wild looks amazing, but I'm not like... I can play that anytime. It's an offline, it's not a shooter or anything where I got to play it now. So I'm like, I can catch up to it later.
Zelda is a game that you could. There's no spoiling.
Exactly. Yeah.
You get to experience the breadth, if you will, of the environment and feel saturated inside it. And
I'm going to enjoy that game just as much in December as I would today.
Yes.
However, the fact that Toe Jam Earl is coming out, now I have to. I think they're probably going to release Toe Jam Earl on PC too. I would assume, but. I gotta get it on the Switch.
There's nothing better than playing it on a console if you can.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm still concerned with some of the design elements.
Yeah.
From the scratching on the screen due to the warping of the dock.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that the left Joy-Con doesn't connect Bluetooth, but it actually is having problems hanging on to the console itself.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo is saying, a few dead pixels on the screen.
Yeah, I've heard about the dead pixels as well. Yeah.
And what I've found interesting is how very clever people like us crafters have had to use a 3D printer to adjust
fix the problems.
Yeah, so that the console stands up properly.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing more and getting my hands on it sometime soon.
Another piece of entertainment news. I saw this today, although it may have been announced a day or two ago. There's a new Star Trek show coming out, Star Trek TV show, not a movie, called Star Trek Discovery. They announced that the captain of the ship on Star Trek Discovery is going to be played by Jason Isaacs. I'm kind of excited about that because he's a really fun actor.
He is,
and he's very sinister and he's always a bad guy, so it's going to be really interesting dynamic there.
I have nothing to say. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's some really interesting new actor that you could pick that we haven't seen before, that we don't have a preconceived notion, which is what was great. They did not even want to go with Patrick Stewart.
Sure.
They wanted him to have a big full head of hair.
Yeah.
Who were any of the other people except for the newest series? And you had Scott Bakula, who already had this litany of great movies and shows that people knew. So it was kind of hard to see him in any other light.
It was really hard to see him as not Scott Bakula.
So I almost don't want someone I know.
Well, so here's the nice thing about it is, and I didn't realize this until I was reading this specific article, the new show isn't going to be centered around the crew itself. It's going to be focused on a single character, the lieutenant command, the second in command of the ship, which I apologize, I forget who she's played by. But it's going to be focused on that one character, with all the other characters as kind of the background. In that light, I really like this casting to where, because now you figure she's the second in command of the ship. Maybe there's going to be some some drama, some friction between her and the captain.
Right.
And Jason Isaacs is a really good character to have friction with.
He's an amazing actor, but I feel like Star Trek was built around not the boldly going where no one has gone before, but the ideal of humanity.
Yeah.
And going out and finding your place out in the universe and dealing with other cultures and trying to come to understanding or resolving conflict, i.e. wars, and not making a one-person character arc.
I agree
we need
with
the ship so that if I don't like this main character, bugger off to you. I don't like Patrick Stewart, but I like Jonathan Frakes.
I like me some Frakes.
Yeah.
I can understand their perspective, but I appreciate the different way they want to go with it. I think it could be really, really fun and nice. It might be terrible. It'll probably be terrible. If we go by the past couple of Star Trek shows, it'll probably be awful, but still, we'll see.
And in upcoming movie news, I read just today, and this was probably released a couple days ago, but the Avatar movie...
Yeah.
And did you see that it's been delayed again?
It's been pushed back, once again.
It was supposed to be out Christmas of 2016. They pushed it to 2017. Then they pushed it to 2018. And we just got released that it's not even going to be out next year.
Yeah.
So they said there's no firm timetable on it yet. We're not going to say. But my question is, are they going to do like some movies where they just push it ahead 3 to 6 months? Or are they waiting for the next flippin' holiday season? And I appreciate that they're filming 4 movies
at the same time.
I thought it was 2, and then I heard 3. Now 4. It's going to be a quintology. Overall.
You know what it feels like to me is it feels like Duke Nukem Forever. Got delayed and delayed, and nobody wanted that game. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted it to come out. They cared initially. They were like, oh yeah, that could be fun. And then it was in development for years and years, and it looked worse and worse, and nobody cared. And when it finally came out, I was like, okay, good. I'm glad it's out now. It's not a joke anymore. That it's, you know, it feels like that's going to happen with these movies. That nobody cares anymore. They're going to come out, and nobody's going to care.
I cannot imagine it'll live up to the hype. Although I think by the time this happens, we may be on to our next president.
Yeah.
You know, is this like a 4 more year wait that we're going to have?
Right.
Because at least, and I will say this for Rogue One, it filled in a slot that I got myself some Star Wars in a 2-year wait between movies.
Yeah, we're getting to be more and more like that, where back in the old days, you'd have to wait 3, 4, 5 years for a sequel to come out. And now, if you don't have a new sequel every year, there's something wrong.
Or you build it into part of a franchise very smartly, and we'll do Avengers every 4 or 5 years, but we've got 3 movies in between to tide you over and tell part of the overarching story. Instead, I'm waiting to see what happens next in Avatar, but you already gave me a movie from beginning to end with a satisfying conclusion, and that's all I needed. I don't know what more you need to tell me unless it's we're going into other planets, and they said from some of the footage and some of what they're trying to do, it's going to be mind-blowing. And I'm excited about that.
I mean, can they make it... What can they do more than 3D? Can they make it like 8D now? I mean, what else are they going to do?
They're going to make it 4D, so you actually experience it in non-linear time.
Oh, I've already seen it. That's why I'm unimpressed. We've already seen it, and we're like, oh yeah, it's not going to be any good.
So if you're listening to the FoundryCast episode 16, we have to do a chronological dating of it
to pinpoint when this episode was recorded.
Yeah. So the rest of our listeners who've already seen it in 4D,
don't see Avatar 6. It's not good.
It's not good.
It's way worse than 5. 5 was great.
We're currently seeing it as we speak.
We just saw it just now.
Well, we didn't just win
in that pause.
Spaceballs reference lost.
Alright, so to start out our episode tonight, I'm going to make a noise here that you're going to recognize because you can see what I'm doing.
Even if I couldn't see what you were doing, I would know what it's...
If you were just listening to this, you would know, and hopefully everybody listening to this will recognize this sound. From your childhood.
Let me. How about some of this? Because if you have a container, it might be
yeah, that is the sound of Legos. And yes, Legos. I know technically it's Lego. It's Lego bricks, not Legos. Legos is not the correct term.
Lego bricks, but these. Yeah,
as a kid,
you're right.
I always called it. Hey, you want to play with Legos?
They're Legos. Yeah. That's what they are.
Yes. But
we have adapted that term.
The Lego company is very specific about this, that it's Lego, not Legos.
Well, when it's their event,
right,
and they are sponsoring, then we will do whatever they need. But
for us,
these are Legos.
Tonight we're playing with Legos. So this is Building Block Month on the FoundryCast. So we've been playing some Minecraft. We're doing some blog posts about building systems and all that kind of stuff. But on this episode tonight, we thought we'd pull out my Lego collection, which is decently sized.
I got to tell you honestly, yours is bigger than mine.
Well, I hear that a lot.
But it's about quality, not quantity.
Exactly, it's about what you do with your Lego.
Yours is a little bit bigger than mine.
Sure, but everybody, Anyway, we'll just let that stay there. So we're gonna play with some Lego during the episode tonight. We're gonna start now and play around, and as we do, we're gonna talk a little bit about Lego itself, building blocks, what they mean, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into it. But we'll continue building through the episode. At the end of the episode, our goal is for each of us to have built something, hopefully something interesting. And then we'll post some pictures of our build on the website and on our Facebook and all that stuff. And maybe if anybody's interested, kind of break down how they were put together. I don't know, something
maybe.
like that. We'll see. But, that's the goal. It's kind of a background theme, but so you'll hear a lot of this kind of noise in the background as we record. Apologize if it gets annoying. I found that sound very relaxing personally, but we'll try and keep it down.
But you feel like you're there because a very large amount of my childhood had just this.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm in the other room, rummaging, trying to find the one thing that I know that I have.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things. I joined, stayed in, completed, and carried out a successful 4-year run in the Marine Corps. And one of the toughest things I had to do was sit here with you, doing all the intro stuff, and not being able to play with these Legos.
Yeah,
driving me crazy.
We went ahead and poured it out and got it ready before we started recording the episode.
Just
and then we were
staring
recording intros, and they did the news and everything, and it's just this pile of Legos sitting here. And I was playing with a couple of pieces, just like fidgeting, but I've been really anxious to dig in and. Because I've got a collection of kits from dating back to the late 80s all the way up until there's some recent stuff dumped in here too. So all kinds of different pieces for us to play with. I have no idea what we're going to make.
No, I have no clue.
Should be fun. If you're listening to this at home and you've got some Legos, pull them out and play with them along with us.
I'm not trying to be silly, but
that was good,
said,
right?
Go ahead and pull them out and play with them.
Pull it out and play along with us.
You knew you were going to say those words, and yet it still happened.
Get your Lego set out and assemble bricks with us.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you for keeping it clean. No,
look at that.
I have no idea what I'm going to make. So part of this is just rummaging around.
Look at that gear set. I found a shaft with a gear, just a couple of spline gears on it that rotates a propeller. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, well, not interesting, to me, anyways, I have, and this is a little bit of telling what I'm going to be doing later, is I have already written a blog. I need to just review it one more time, about building block sets that are from my childhood, but I purposefully, it's not about Lego. I was going to do a separate one, and I wanted to do kind of a review of some of the sets that I remember, because I went onto a website and I found what they are.
You can look up the old sets and see the pieces and stuff.
Yeah, and you think, okay, how many sets there were over how many years?
Yeah.
But I've already seen pieces that I know what set they came from.
Right.
I know approximately the year. I might even know what the shape of the original ship was like.
Yeah.
Would you hand me one of those bags? You've got a couple of the...
that's in the box, of course. I have all the original assembly
Yes, I had this one. I cannot remember the name of the set, but they were sort of the... it was in the space series. They had like 4 or 5 space things in a row, but the ones that were like the mining consortium...
Yeah, they're like moon miner kind of guys.
I had this exact little moon buggy. And what's cool, they don't have it on here, which is crap, but each of these has a name. So that moon buggy is called Moon Scooter or something like that. It may have been on the box.
We could look up the kit number, and that would definitely tell us.
And they have them on the website.
Look, I just found a Lego Shop at Home catalog from January '96. So you can flip through this and see all kinds of.
I may do that later.
Yes,
I had this one too. I had this. This was part of the. This was like Arctic space.
Right. They had the different
This wasn't
colors.
Space Police. This was something else.
I think that was the...
This was Ice Planet.
Yes.
2002. Wow.
Man,
this is cool.
Looks like I've got... Oop, there's another ice. So, at this time, when most of my collection comes from, there was the space sets, the ice
Dude,
guy.
I had that one too!
Yeah, that little space station thing.
This is going to be part of my blog.
We had... We had space sets, like we were talking about. We had City, which is still a set of kits that they still make, but I have a bunch of City stuff. This was probably my favorite set from that. I have a lot of the box cutouts.
My buddy next door had that one. It was like a Challenger.
The space shuttle.
Not the unofficial Challenger.
So you can like assemble the whole shuttle as a launch pad. Really
I had
cool.
this one.
Yeah, the little...
what I'm referencing, most of these are the smaller, like the $5, $8 sets that you could get as just like to fill up a stocking.
Right.
They're small, they're pretty cheap, but they all tended to have like 1 or 2 bricks that were kind of unique to them.
Right. There were always some, like the space shuttle has a bunch of unique bricks. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, we could read out the kit numbers if anybody wants to look at space shuttle kit 6339. That's the space shuttle that I have, the full set. The little buggy you were talking about earlier is 6833.
The little cruiser cart is 6813. That's in Space Police.
Yeah. This was another set of kits that was a thing at the time. I don't know if they make these still, but the pirate sets and the Royal Navy sort of looking things.
I had a couple piratey sets, but not. I think it was like an island, had a small desert island.
These, I remember getting these two together. I got these at the same time for Christmas one year. Because I got a bunch of money from my aunt, and she said I could get whatever I wanted. We went to Toys R Us. I got these two kits at the same time.
That's a good woman.
6268 and 6271, which is like the pirate. I guess we'll call that a sloop and a frigate. Although they're both much too small to be a sloop or a frigate. They're more like a ketch and a slightly larger ketch. But that's okay. I've got. God, there's all kinds of stuff in here.
Oh, this one here. I had this one too. Yeah. Another Space Police or Ice Planet 6879.
Yeah.
I think it was really one Christmas or 2 or 3 Christmases in a row where people were like, "What do we get, little Cyrus?" Here we go. Another little cruiser of some kind, 6810. What do we get him? And my parents were like, just get him Legos.
Lego, always
like,
get
what,
Legos.
Really? He already... No, seriously. Here are the Legos that we got him. Get him something else. Or, we got him all these spacey ones. You get him anything but space. And I would dig it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I really didn't care. When I got Legos, I did not care what they were, as long as it was Lego, because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of folks were like this. I would usually build the kit the first day, like what I was supposed to do with it. And then once I was done with that, I'd break it apart immediately and just scavenge the pieces and build whatever the heck I rarely built the kit a second time, except for a couple cool, like the space shuttle. I still have mostly together, well, partially together, just because it's so cool, and also because it's mostly unique pieces. But
had this one too. Yeah,
that was one of my favorites. That ship
was great. Well, because they have the little robots that go with it.
Yes, I remember. He's completely disassembled, but the pieces are in here somewhere.
We will put him back together. He can be. Yeah, and I remember a lot of these catalogs. They didn't have this. I didn't have the full size catalog, but they had the smaller ones. And sometimes I would save up just enough money and ask my parents to get me just a little set. So the Space minifigure set of 6, number 6703. You got 2 of the black suited space guys with a black visor.
Yep.
A blue, a red, a yellow, and then the black and white chest guy. Each of them had a little something or another that they're holding for $5.75.
$5.75.
$5.75.
That's a deal right there. These days, the smallest of kits are, what, 15, I think is there.
Something you can still find in the $8 range.
Well, those little like baggy kits at the register, at the checkout, those are usually pretty cheap. But that's
like $5.
Yeah, it's like 20 pieces. But the small box kits, I think, are in the 10 to 15 range for the very smallest ones. This was another one of my favorites. This had the articulated arm. This was the submarine stuff. These came out a little later. I remember like the underwater sets. I don't know what they're doing these days. I haven't spent a lot of time in the Lego aisle in a while, so I'm not sure where
I have some of the Lego. You have a compass?
Yeah, there's a compass. It came with one of the pirate ships.
Oh, that's
there.
One of those that would actually float. I had something that would float in the tub, and I realized how weird it was that I was naked with my Legos.
I do specifically remember these ships trying that. I have the full-on pirate ship. They sank because they leaked.
They're too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the gaps in the blocks.
But now we'd like spray them with some sort of
to lacquer on the outside or something. Yeah.
These were my favorite things. Yeah. They were the flat pieces that were very
like consoles.
Yeah, they were like little computer pieces. They were 1 brick tall by 2 bricks across, and I would try to find one of every single set and create really complex terminals with some of the single colored color pieces, not clear but translucent pieces,
right?
And just make consoles, and then this is the launch room, this is the whatever. Whoever was playing with these last is awesome but kind of crazy. There's a lot of like weird things stuck on heads.
Sure.
Like from the pirates, the crazy, really, really racially insensitive,
tribal
islander
people.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I don't. We may have to just take a break at some point and just build because I don't know.
And these only some of the cannons had it, but there were some cannons with a spring-loaded thing in the back that would shoot the.
Actually, they were never spring-loaded. You would just put the. Let me find one. Put the round cylinder in, and you just tap it.
No, mine. I swear mine was spring-loaded.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember pulling back and letting go.
They were usually they could move, and then you would just tap it. You would just flick it.
I swear
you might be crazy.
Spring. That's all right. Ooh, a goblet. Look at that.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Piece of wall here. So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
how beholden were you once you made a little car to tear it apart? Did you set them aside?
If I really, really liked it, I did. Or if I were planning on coming back and playing with it later, because I would, there would be like a patch of the living room carpet that would kind of be my area, and I would pour the Legos there, and they would be safe there for several days. Typically, they wouldn't get touched.
That's a good mom and dad.
They would allow that as long as they didn't get spread all over the house. As long as I had a patch that was mine. So I could preserve some stuff, but if it were time to clean up and I had to put them all back in the boxes, then if I had a couple things that I really liked, I'd leave them assembled so that I could play with them the next time. Usually what I would do is build I would do a big pile like we've got here, and I'd spread it out thin, and then I would build like a bulldozer and drive through it, and make it almost like a big garbage yard where they're moving stuff around and organizing it. I don't know. I guess I was a boring kid. I would usually
build a little car, spaceship, something smaller, and then that was done.
That's supposed to be a hoverboard, I think. There.
That's kind of hoverboardy. This is the better color for the hoverboard.
No, the pink one.
Hot pink.
I'm not sure where the pink block... There are several pink blocks in here. I'm not sure where they came from.
It's a judgment for you. You pink block it up. It's okay.
I don't think I had any...
Cool.
They started doing that more recently. Doing, girl sets, I guess, would be the only way to really say it. Which are really
popular, and I'm really glad about that.
I was going to say, what do you think about that? I mean, Lego is kind of a universal thing.
It's unisex, but at the same time, most of what they do, unless they put some goofy hair and lipstick on the in the figurine and give her a little bosom, they're all men. These are all men in spacesuits.
For the most part. And a lot of the kits were space pirates, space miners. Even the city kits were police and fire
rescue,
trucks.
But they were still boys all like to play with. Male-ish.
Very true.
Figures.
But I'm curious about that. Beyond that, just the pure creative aspect of it. It's a unisex thing. Little girls can sit here and make stuff out of this just as well as boys can.
They can, but it was never made enough for them.
Yeah, and it also wasn't encouraged. It wasn't
right.
Even though some of these sets were well, again, say unisex. So that's probably not the best term to use. Even though they were, I don't think parents were buying them for their daughter to play with.
The girl was having to play with it when her brother or cousin had it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think it's cool that they're doing that, and more power. However, it's the problem of colored pieces. Look at the old house pieces. Mm-hmm. The bright white, the bright yellow.
With yellow shutters.
It's ugly as sin. And I remember as soon as I started getting these cooler space pieces, just the color palette was better. And the complicated nature of the pieces were better. So I moved away and stayed away from the town stuff pretty quickly on, unless it was vehicles like fire truck or something.
Look at that, a little tank tread.
Yeah. So you've got some of those...
There's some more complicated pieces.
The Odyssey of the Mind style.
As I grew up, I got some of the Technic and some of the other more complicated things. I was a little too old by the time they started doing the pieces that you can connect to your computer and program, which they do now, which is really cool.
And it's funny how you see certain pieces that are just pure Lego. This is like a 2x4 with one tall, and it's just the front of a ship of some kind.
That's made to be a little spaceship thing, yeah.
But, alright, hey dummy.
I found the the king's crown there. We'll set that aside just in case.
Oh, I know you had some Star Wars, but I brought this guy in case we needed him.
Oh no!
I do have a Jar Jar Binks figurine.
We should melt that.
Yeah.
I do have. There's a Gamorrean guard in here earlier. I found. I'm not sure where
he's been buried now.
Yeah, he's underneath.
These are some of the knight guys that started showing up a little later. I have a couple of knight kits. That's where the King's Crown came from.
I have a couple of those kits, but not a huge amount.
There's a battle droid. Look at that.
I had some of those. Yeah. And I like that they folded up. Yeah, look at wherever this set's from.
Yeah,
that's McDonald's.
A McDonald's.
That's a McDonald's set. So that's
back when Happy Meals had some cool, dang stuff.
Actual cool stuff in them instead of just a tiny piece of plastic that did nothing.
That melts and has to be recalled. Which happened in the last 6 months.
Yeah. Ooh, I keep finding pieces from the space shuttle. There's just bits of
it's kind of grisly.
It's alright. The program's been discontinued.
Yes. We scrapped the Lego space program.
We did, unfortunately. The budget just wasn't there to explore Lego space.
I think right now we're exploring Lego space.
We are. We're digging around, looking for all kinds of stuff. Because this is what you do with Lego. You just kind of dig and
you just
search.
sort of hunt for pieces that make sense to you, that give you inspiration.
Yeah,
I'm sort of split at the moment. I don't know which full direction to go. So I'm just kind of hunting for things that...
I do have some plates here. Some plate pieces if you wanted to do a structure of some kind.
Yeah, I had that guy.
The Island Fortress and road pieces.
Yeah. Well, while we're still hunting around, I do have a bit of Lego news.
Okay.
Did you see that there is currently a... I'm trying to remember if it's on Indiegogo or what. It's not a Kickstarter, but it is a crowdfund. There's a company, excuse me, called Nimuno, like Nimuno, like Nimuno Loops. They've created Lego tape.
Oh, like the masking tape stuff.
The Lego. They've got a full month to go.
Yeah.
And they're at $6,600 raised out of the $8,000 goal.
Nice.
So they're gonna hit it. They're gonna hit it.
Definitely.
It's about $11. It depends on which one you get, but $11 for about 21 feet of tape. But I think it's only 1x2,
right?
1x4 Legos wide, which isn't very wide. In a couple of colors, you don't really get a color rainbow of sorts until you bid for a lot more tape.
My concern with that would be how permanent the tape is.
Semi-permanent.
What exactly are you going to do with it other than use it once?
So
and unstick it.
It is flexible. So what I've seen is people do it on curved areas.
Right.
So it's bendable too. And they say bendable, shapeable, flexible, which all say the same thing to me.
Yeah.
But cuttable. So which you'd expect out of tape, but you could do very interesting pieces.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not going to be... Are you going to use it for like a permanent display if you're having like a Lego little city in your basement, or...
I just think it's just another creative outlet. So I don't know how I would use it, but if someone gifted it to me, I would find something really fun to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it goes back to what we were talking about at the start of the episode about, we try and be creators and we want to make stuff for creators. That's the kind of thing that is, you create a tool for somebody to use. You don't exactly know what you would do with the tool, but you make it for other people and then they find amazing things to do with it. And that's what's fun about making that sort of thing.
You have a small idea and someone goes, I can take that.
I can do all kinds of amazing things.
I saw a really neat way that someone came up with to create cobblestone.
Yep.
So I think I showed you before a technique that I was using to do cobblestone for like a tabletop game. You use a medium, which corkboard works really good, and you reinforce it with PVA white glue, and you create a stamp out of foam core whiteboard. And you just draw it in there at the shape you want. You slather on some paint, and it's a stamp system.
Right.
Well, someone took that to the next level, where you Okay, I'm trying to remember. You take a yellow sponge, and you cut off a little flat piece of it, and you take a hole puncher that give you your cobblestones. You glue it to a small cylinder like a toilet tissue roll, and you stick a paint roller on it. Paint that up, and you roll out your. I mean, that's
very clever.
And if you're running low, you just kind of keep going. You keep wiping the brush on, and there you are. And that was someone taking another crafter's idea of how to make the stamps and just taking it to the next level. So I think something as simple as tape. Yeah. Someone is going to find something.
Could find something really cool
brilliant to do with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This isn't a competition, but I kind of feel like I need to make something cool.
Yeah, I'm just kind of assembling right now.
Yeah.
With an idea, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I don't know.
What I'm doing is derivative of something else, but it's the thing that inspired me the most, so I'm just going to go with it.
Nice.
Let's talk about inspiration, too, while we're at it.
Yeah.
As I'm adjusting because I'm cramped.
Yeah, that's one thing we were talking about earlier.
We were a little too old.
When we started this episode, I said, do you want to just pour it on the floor and get on the floor? Like, because I don't have a table big enough to hold all this. I said, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, we're at the point now where knees aren't what they used to be. And, sitting on the floor for extended periods is kind of tiring. But
I'm loving it, but at the same time, ouch. I'll be right here. Well, okay, so creativity.
Yes.
Because that's what we talk about a lot. And I realize I'm really far from the microphone. So
you got to shout.
Am I okay? How are my levels?
I think you're all right.
Looking all right?
Yeah.
Do I still need to be this loud?
Yes.
I'll sit back up in a second. I'm like reaching over.
Well, you got to explore. You got
a ton of
explore
bricks.
The space.
So many interlocking bricks, man.
It's hard to find everything.
So it's kind of the... do you build towards the idea because it's what you should do? Or does the idea come as you build? Like writing. Sometimes you need to just put flipping words on the page. Otherwise, you're not going to create anything. And then maybe you scrap it later, but the exercise itself was worthwhile. Or do you plot out something in your mind that you want to do and then steadily work towards it, making adjustments as you go?
Yeah, I think looking back at specifically Lego in my youth, what I typically building what I would do, and that's kind of what I'm doing even today. I would just kind of sift through the pile, and when I would find a couple of bricks that were interesting and did something, it kind of would spark an idea, like based off this. Oh, I can build. Oh, yeah, okay, and then that would give me a direction to go. And these days, I think as a creator, that's still a lot of times my process. I was talking with somebody a while ago about story writing and how I think about a story and how I create it. And it starts for me with something small, a piece, a scene, of a single visual pops into my head. And then from that, I build out from that and create a story to fit around that, which maybe isn't the best way to, especially story writing, maybe it isn't always the best way, but that's kind of always been my creative process, is you find one or two small pieces that give you inspiration to continue on. It's never this is what I'm going to make, now let's find the pieces to make it fit. It's kind of the opposite of that.
It makes me think a little bit about J.K. Rowling. And I've said it before on record. I don't mind being the one to say it. I feel like she bluffed her butt off. And did it well.
Yeah.
Did it so well that I still love her and every single answer she came up with. Almost to the letter. I get, because she wrote some things and then found out later on that she went down a path that didn't make any kind of sense.
Yeah.
Not to get too specific into plot details.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've kind of always had that criticism of J.K. Rowling, is that it's never felt cohesive. Her stuff's never felt cohesive. It's just sort of a mishmash that eventually became a universe.
There's that, and that how much of each book is sort of explaining stuff that wasn't obvious in the first place.
Right, yeah.
That maybe should have been.
Filling gaps in, filling plot holes in. Kind of thing.
Why could this happen? Well, it's because, why can't everybody apparate anytime they want? Oh, because there's warding. Yeah. Why can't I use a cell phone and let somebody know what's going on? Because magic... Well, I'm not in Hogwarts anymore. Couldn't I still have a cell phone? Well, if you come within contact, and some great fantasy. But I think a lot of us, that's what we have to do. If you were going to write a book, and it becomes a #1 bestseller, and by book 5, someone goes, hey, you said this character did this thing, and now you're alluding that it was this way. What gives? You kind of have to song and dance and find a way to... You can't go and retract 10,000, 20,000, a million copies of your book.
Right.
And part of that is crafting. When you have a medium, sometimes you have the opportunity to build, and sometimes all you can do is sculpt away, and you can't add back to the marble what you've already cut off.
Yeah, that's always been a kind of a creative process that never made sense to me, and that's what they say about sculptors, is that they don't carve a woman out of a piece of marble. They just remove the pieces of marble that aren't a woman. Right? I don't know if that's a famous quote or if that's just whatever. That's even like when I paint. That's never been the case for me. It's always been even painting. I'm just thinking about like I'll start and I'll throw some ink onto a canvas. And then based on how that flows on, I'll build from there. And I guess, I criticize J.K. Rowling for that, but I guess that's really what she was doing as a writer, was she was just kind of telling us a simple story and then riffing off of that story that she put together. Just building and building and building layer upon layer. And hey, people dig it, so you can't really knock it.
No, and it isn't meant to knock.
You're right.
But once you have written a score like that, it's hard to say, yeah, guys, I kind of, I don't know. I was just wanting to make it look cool.
Yeah. All right, so Cyrus, we've been kind of just, riffing a little bit here as we, divide our attention between the podcast and
definitely a lot going on at once,
which is fun. But wanted to ask your opinion a little bit on just something I've noticed lately, and it's not a new observation because this kind of thing's been going on for a while, but I saw today a little brief news story talking about, two different ones. One mentioning that Gary Busey's son has been chosen to be, or is going to appear in.
Yeah, I did see something about
a Predator remake.
Yeah,
and then I saw another article that was a casting call for actors for a Aladdin, live-action Aladdin movie. And, of course, this month we've got the new Beauty and the Beast live-action remake coming out. And then I saw, weirdly enough, that they made a Dumbo live-action movie with Danny DeVito in it. I don't even know. And it just got me thinking...
Would Danny DeVito... He'd be the mouse. See that little mouse?
Nah, I don't know why. He looked like a... I don't know. It was bizarre. It just got me thinking, even more than usual... Have you been noticing a lot of remakes lately? And remakes have never been a new thing in Hollywood, but
no.
Lately, remakes of Disney films, this goes back to even the RoboCop remake, the Total Recall remake, a remake of nerdy films that we grew up watching and appreciated, sci-fi and fantasy and stuff like that. How do you feel about that? Live action versions of Disney fantasy movies?
I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah,
I think there's a better use of time and okay. So I recently watched the Jungle Book remake.
I forgot about that one.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
was it wonderful? No, but the kid actor did a decent enough job.
Uh-huh.
He was the worst actor on screen.
Yeah, well, that tends to happen with kids.
You had
actors.
You had a very talented cast, and a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more faithful retelling of the original than the Disney cartoon, but a lot of those stories were relatively unknown fantasy stories until they were made into something by Disney. Right. So I appreciate they're kind of ingrained in our memory before being made into remakes, but they weren't remakes at the time. Mm-hmm. It's just like saying Die Hard. What an original movie.
Yeah.
No, that's based on a book.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that going in, it may not be so affecting to you later. So I think that there's a bit of we're going to bank on people are going to buy this.
Purely for nostalgia,
Purely for nostalgia. Yeah. And I wish I could find the one YouTuber who theorized that within 5 years a movie's going to come out and then be remade live action the next... Like Frozen is going to be live action in 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting to that point where it feels... I mean, and like I said, Hollywood has long since run out of ideas, apparently. I mean, I saw that there's a new disaster movie where a huge storm... It's like, how many times has that movie been made in the past 15, 20 years? But I was just thinking specifically, especially about these Disney ones. And I was trying to see if is there any good here? Is there any positives we can take from it? And
yeah, why not? Why not?
Is there, though? I don't know.
I haven't seen the new Beauty and the Beast, but they have a fantastic actress. They've got a lot of the old music.
Isn't it Kristen Stewart?
No, Emma Watson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Emma Watson's also an amazing role model for women right now.
Yeah,
which I never knew I would actually have to say. Not as a slam against her. It's just really interesting and surprising. It could be good. It's a beloved thing.
Yeah.
The problem is part of its charm had a lot to do with Robin Williams. So you cannot sling...
Aladdin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I cannot think of the actor's name, but do you know the Max Headroom actor?
I know Max Headroom. I don't know the actor.
Okay. The actor often plays characters that are second to Jim Carrey. They seem a lot like a Jim Carrey kind of. He's skinny, he's scrawny, he flails around, he's got this timbre about his voice. People compare him to Jim Carrey very unfairly.
Right.
Even though he came first. He was doing that kind of shtick.
Before.
Now you've got Jim Carrey out there, and so they go, okay, can we afford the best, or are we going to bring in this guy?
The cut rate Jim Carrey.
And that's not fair. That guy's awesome. I wish I could remember his name, but see, there you go.
Well,
he's done movies that I've liked. Was freaking Max Headroom. And yet, the remake was better. There are remakes that have been done. I say, and I'm not going to go full bore and say this. I think as a recreation of episode 4, that episode 7 was awesome.
Yeah, but that I don't think it's fair to say a recreation. It hit a lot of the same beats. That doesn't... You could push really hard and say soft reboot, but even that, it wasn't even enough to be a soft reboot. So it wasn't I don't think that was fair to say remake. But yeah, it hit the same beats and it was excellent. And I don't have any problem with hitting the same beats and making something good. It's just a full-on... Something like Beauty and the Beast especially bothers me, because Beauty and the Beast, the cartoon movie, is really good. It holds up. The animation's beautiful.
Yeah, the animation's good.
It doesn't need to be remade. It's still magical and good. Because why make it? Why remake it?
Why not?
What's the point other than making more money? What else are you going to get from seeing this new one that you wouldn't get from seeing the original, other than it's not as good as the original?
Okay, what Disney movie would you remake? Classic era-ish.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they did do those, and they did all the Herbie movies.
They're remaking Mary Poppins, apparently.
Yes, and from what I've seen so far, I'm not opposed to that. Mary Poppins was based on a book.
Sure. I don't know. It feels strange. It feels strange to take something that,
Okay, if they were going to remake Toy Story, that was an original story for Disney, that would make sense to me.
Fair point, in that, you're remaking something that was originally based on a fairy tale, etc. Mm-hmm. So you can try and give your own spin on it. But it doesn't feel like they're giving it their own spin. It feels like they're remaking somebody else's spin. It's like a shot-for-shot remake, basically. The songs are the same. What are you giving me that's new? Good example of, and again, not fair to call it a remake, but the new Judge Dredd movie is good.
It's very good.
But again, it's not a remake of the Sly Stallone Judge Dredd. It's just a new movie based on the same property.
True.
Which came before it.
It could be considered a sequel.
Right.
Maybe.
So that's what I would rather them do. If you want to make a new movie with the same property, do something new. Do Mad Max. The new Mad Max movie is the best movie of the past 10 years.
Gosh.
And
it's a great movie.
It takes that same material and does new things with it, interesting things with it. And again, you get away with it there because it's not as connected together. But why can't they take? Well, it'd be hard with Beauty and the Beast to try and retell a new story in that same setting, because what are you going to do? But
Beauty and the guy, Beauty and her husband,
Beast and the mortgage payment. I don't know.
Beast and the alimony.
I don't know. It just bothers me because there's still so much room to do interesting things in film.
You're right.
The Marvel movies, and this is Disney too. Marvel movies are a good example where these are existing properties, and for the most part, a lot of the movies are based on existing stories.
Yeah.
But they're telling it in a slightly different way, different visuals, something that hadn't been done before. That's good. Why aren't we doing more of that? Why are we reselling the same movie shot for shot?
I don't know.
It's a little annoying.
Well, you know the answer to that. Why they are, it's just not a satisfying answer.
Yeah, well, yes, it's because they're greedy and they want money.
I wouldn't say greedy, but okay. I'm going to make a movie about something, and I want to make money on it, and the studio wants to make money on it.
Right.
So we make something we know is going to sell.
Right. You can either
we're going to do a good job with it.
You can either spend a bunch of money to make something that you don't know is going to be successful,
and then it isn't, and then we have another John Carter.
Yes.
Movie.
Or you can make something you know everybody's going to go see.
Oh my god, I'm going to go see my favorite movie as a kid, but now live action, with a beautiful lead and a good looking male counterpart, and it's going to have all the same music.
Yeah.
And I can take my kid to see it, and it'll be their first time. Sure.
And I don't know, it's interesting in that way, because I'm looking at it from a perspective of somebody who I appreciate what. Again, using Beauty as an example, I appreciate that film for what it was. I'm not a huge fan of it. But it's interesting because, fandom can go both ways. You can go the way you just said, where it's a new version of what I loved. And this is what I was going to say earlier when I was trying to search for positives here. You can talk about you're exposing a new generation to this film. This is Beauty and the Beast for the YouTube generation, I guess, whatever you want to say. And there's your positive. You're introducing a story that you love to your kids, and they're going to watch it. But at the same time, you run into the the danger that the Ghostbusters remake ran into, of you're remaking something that a bunch of people love and isn't going to be as good as the original, and you're going to get a lot of blowback from that. Mm-hmm. So, what if the new Beauty and the Beast comes out and it's not as good as the original? What's the point then? You just ruined a property.
Well, I'll say there's virtually no way that it's going to be as good as the original, from my point of view, because it is not telling anything new.
Right.
The only saving grace is that we have the first openly gay character. New Disney.
I guess. Is that a saving grace?
Okay. Should it have been done a long time ago?
Well, I would argue that it's fairly clear in the original that what's his name? I want to say Zazu. It's not.
Yeah. Well, that's that character.
Little guy. I think in the original movie it's fairly clear.
No,
he's in love with Gaston.
He is a fop, and we've talked about fop before.
He loves Gaston. He's in love with Gaston. It's just not explicit. And I think that
everybody in that town was in love with Gaston,
but he especially. He led the song.
Well,
I'm just saying. I find it somewhat insulting in a way that they need to hang a lampshade on it and make it clear this is a gay character. You have to like it. Because,
no, I don't think they need to make him a gay character. They just need to have a gay character. They need to have that.
Yeah, but do they need to be explicit in pointing out? I've seen articles already written. This is a gay, like, who I mean, yeah.
Yes, they do. They need to say, we're not hiding it under a foppish, insulting stereotype.
Granted, I agree. I'm coming from this perspective as a hetero white male, and from a position of privilege to where,
of course,
I can't.
We both are, to be fair.
Yeah, I have the room to criticize and say, is it necessary to point that out? I think that diminishes having the gay character when you feel like you have to point it out. And
I think it's time that Disney had its first openly gay lead character in the movie. I mean, not him. He's not. That's what I'm saying. He's not.
He's just he's a comic. And that's part of it too. He's a comic relief background character. That's who you choose to make gay. Whereas, actually going back to Ghostbusters is a good example. Something that I like that they did in that new movie is that I don't remember if they fully come out and say it, but it's heavily implied that a couple of the main Ghostbusters are lesbian. Great. Cool. Let's have that. There's
Ghostbusters is not a franchise for 100 years that's never had a character that's representative of something or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true. Yeah, you're not talking the same thing as Disney, where it's been reinforcing stereotypes for however long. But I don't know. I see your point. You're probably right. I'm just.
I don't think I'm right. I just feel strongly about it.
It smacks me in a weird way when you feel like you have to, like I said, you have to hang a lampshade on. Here is our. It goes back to our discussion last week about tokenism. It feels token. It feels like, oh well, this side character nobody cares about. He can be gay.
Yeah,
and that way we get to say we have a gay character now.
It shouldn't be that way,
and that feels bad. I agree with you. It should be a lead character, and they should just own it and not feel like it needs to be a badge of honor. It just needs to be, this is the reality.
This is what they are.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
That I'd feel better about it like that. But yeah, we meandered a little bit from our topic as we kind of are tonight. I can't
help it. You're talking about remakes, and why the hell are you going to remake something if you're not going to do something different with it?
That's a valid point. They are doing something a little bit different with that character. Not in terms of that.
What's only that character?
They're not doing anything different with him. He's the exact same character. They're just being very open about who that character originally was. Why do I keep wanting to call him Zazu? Is it LeFou?
Yes,
it's
LeFou.
Okay,
it's LeFou. Now that you said it, I've remembered.
Is Zazu the bird in Lion King?
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah, the Major Domo.
Okay.
Good morning, Zazu. Good morning,
I just found out it's played by Mr. Bean. I had no idea that's him, and he did all of his own songs.
Yes, he did.
Anyway, I just found that out.
Bean for President 2020.
Mr. Bean is great. So for tonight's table topics,
let's see how we can do this while still being, relatively distracted.
Yeah, playing with some Lego here.
Still playing with Legos.
I thought I'd bring in a little bit of sort of news. Announcement came out recently that Wizards of the Coast is releasing a companion app for Dungeons and Dragons.
Right,
it's going to help you, run your game.
D&D Beyond, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, so they're doing a beta test for it right now.
Yep.
Cool idea. Sure. But it got me thinking, we've talked a little bit about, technology at the table, when it comes to setting mood with music and things like that. Just wanted to get your take on how do you feel about, how do you feel about having, somebody having an app open on their phone the whole time you're playing? You can drop their character or a tablet or a laptop or something like that.
Well, I think part of it is the way we look at the game itself. Mm-hmm. Even though that sounds like I'm padding for time, when you're playing the game, you're looking at your character sheet anyway.
Yeah.
I play the last couple characters have been hybrids of some kind, where I needed to go back and it's not obvious. I don't run up and go punch a thing.
Yeah.
I may want to use a special technique, and I've got a list of what's available, so I'm checking anyways. When I get together with some people and we play, and there are a lot of magic users, by God, if they're not spending 20 minutes looking at spells.
Spell list, yeah.
And I tell them, pick a couple spells. You're going to feel like you're limited, but I promise you you're not.
Yeah.
If you want to try to use that lightning in a different way, we'll try to use it in a different way. And let's just roll with it and go. 3, 2, 1, you're on deck. And they're still looking for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I also, counter to that is, I hate when people spend all the time in the world on their phone in the middle of the game when it's their turn. Right. And so I don't think this inclusion of technology is really any different than looking in a book. If your players are cognizant that they should be paying attention. I think it's good that Wizard of the Coast is releasing a lot of free materials to augment, because in the end what you're going to be doing, you're not paying money to play their game. You're paying money to learn more, to get adventures and stories.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for a lot of the... You're paying for fluff instead of crunch.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with
once you've got the crunch, you've got the crunch. Yeah.
Once you've got the crunch, you're in.
You're
Welcome to the club. You're part of the deal.
Right.
Let's just move on.
Yeah,
we're not going to try to gouge you for more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
So I
usually.
True. But I really appreciate that attitude. So I'm fine with it. I think technology is the way to go to bring in a younger audience anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If you want to try and make tabletop gaming appeal to younger people, you need to integrate more multimedia, technology, the kind of things that they take for granted, that's part of their... for you and I, we grew up in pen and paper, graph paper is part of who we are. We grew up with using graph paper.
Sure.
For them, a tablet is something they grew up using, and that's just a natural piece to use in a game. I don't know. I'm just thinking about like my view of Dungeons and Dragons is pen and paper. That's a term that's less and less used now. Usually, you say tabletop gaming, but you can still say pen and paper RPG. Pen and paper gaming. My view is you're sitting around a table in a dark basement with candles going,
right?
Maybe a pizza box nearby.
Very romantic.
It's almost romantic in a way. It's not romantic in a romantic sense, but it's in the classical
depends
romanticism.
on how you play.
True enough. But it's sort of it's almost like your characters are at the tavern. You're at the tavern. You're around the table together, communal. And I feel like if you're in that setting and you build that mood, and then suddenly this glowing bright screen pops up on somebody's hand where their phone or their tablet is on, it draws me out. It throws me out sometimes. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that it fits the feel of the game. It makes it feel more sterile in a way. It makes it feel more like a video game, like more like a board game than it does a storytelling session.
Whatever it is that gets the person to the table is a thing that I'm going to appreciate.
Yeah.
Anything that brings new players in, that makes a game like that, like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, more accessible to new players, overall I'm going to be a big fan of. And in this instance, turning on a light... I'm just going to have to hang 10 with that, and I would rather it be as tactile, as immediate as possible. And part of that is, hey, pay attention to what's going on right now. Do you mind? We've got a game going on here. I know you're using your phone to check your character sheet, but I've got to forgive that a little bit if that means that this person's going to be on the table, as opposed to they're not there.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that part of it of you have to accept what what's going to interest people in it. But at the same time, is it worth bringing somebody to the table if they have to have that electronic crutch? Is it worth bringing somebody to the table if what they're going to bring with them to the table diminishes what that product is?
In this instance, I wouldn't feel it as a crutch on my table. Mm-hmm. In this instance, I would see this as their game aid. Well, if it becomes a crutch where they're not paying attention to me anymore,
right?
We're done.
I don't know. It feels sort of like, just for lack of a better example, camping. Imagine that you would love to camp. You've done it all your life. You want to get your nephews into camping.
Yeah, okay.
And you invite them to come camping with you, but they say they won't go unless they can bring their iPads so they can play games in the tent.
Sure.
And I think that's a realistic scenario that they would, kids these days would probably say, oh, can I bring my iPad so I can play a game next to the fire? And you're like, well, no, because that's kind of against the point of camping. The point of camping is you're in nature in a way. It almost feels like that for me with D&D, where it's like, well, no, the point is we're role-playing a bunch of knights in medieval times, and, the further we can get away from modern society and a feel, I think, the better, to a certain extent. I understand the advantage of having technology involved because it streamlines everything. It makes it easier to track hit points. You can have a dice roller on your phone, which means you don't have to bring dice. But at the same time, doesn't that diminish the experience if you're not actually rolling dice?
True. I mean, okay, we're coming from a very purist point of view when it comes to...
that's usually going to be my point of view on a lot of things.
And what would you rather have? 5 people around the table, engaged as best they can, having a good time, laughing, enjoying the story that you've laid out for them as they've changed it and made it their own? Or would you rather have 2 people that show up, they're very loyal,
but that's
you're not able to get a game out because they're the only people who are nerd approved enough to do it right?
I guess my argument would be that if D&D is good enough to be just pen and paper and no tech, then that should be good enough. I
think part of what's going to end up happening is you use the tech to link them in. But it's you as the storyteller, it's you as the game master, it's you as the group who realize, I want to put this away. The storytelling has to be key. And part of that is going to be you're always going for theater of the mind. Sorry, let me think my thought through a little better. Ideally, if you can get everybody to close their eyes, look at nothing, have headphones in, hear only each other's voices, roll no dice, and tell the story with your eyes closed, you will see this world as vivid as possible.
Yeah.
That's virtually something you can't do.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that because I like having minis in terrain.
You want to have minis, you want to have terrain, so you've manifested this storytelling in a very physical way.
Yeah.
The pen and paper is the classic way to go. But just like new editions come out, I think you have to be open to new technologies. Try to trust that it's for the better, as long as it doesn't interfere. Now, if it's interfering, do the best you can to put a kibosh on that. Hey guys, I appreciate you're trying to find your spells, but you're taking away from the game.
Yeah.
I noticed your Facebooking. We got to wrap that crap up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my perspective would be, because like I said, we talked about using technology in games before to enhance the feel of the game.
Right.
I really, really, really like the idea of technology to enhance the fluff. To add to sound, visual, scent, even, anything like that. Any fluff, any role playing. I don't necessarily like the idea of technology introduced to enhance the crunch.
Yes.
Because I think that pushes too far in the direction of video game, of board game, of drawing, because that's always the problem with crunch. And don't get me wrong, I love board games to death, and a lot of people are attracted to D&D from that perspective of, I want to build the most powerful character possible, and
yes, there are.
You know, we the D20 is the signal of the hobby, and so you can't escape the crunch, you can't escape the rolling, the stats, the crunching, that kind of thing. But I think that too much of that diminishes from what makes pen and paper RPG great. I think it has to be there. You need the roll, you need the crunch, but too much of it ruins the experience. And I think that technology, having an iPad in front of you to keep track of this kind of stuff, puts too much emphasis on the crunch.
It does put a lot of emphasis on the crunch.
Too much that needs to be there. I guess, I don't know, if you're in a situation where you can integrate it for both, that's good. But I don't know. It feels like an app to track characters and levels and et cetera, et cetera. I'd rather have an app to give me more, background music and sounds and voices and things like that.
Yeah, use what you got. And some people, how much money you got in your pocket? I'm going to say I've got between no dollars and maybe up to $40 in my pocket at a time.
Right.
What brand new what brand new handbook can you buy for $40? Maybe one brand new book. But you can get this compendium. You can get the D20. You can get the Dungeons and Dragons Beyond app for whatever price. They're in beta right now, I think. Probably for $10, $20, and you've got all of that crunch.
Yeah.
And also be able to build a character, have a couple characters saved on the fly. You show up, hey, we got 5 people here.
Yeah.
I'll run a game. You guys got character sheets? We sure do. It's on our phone. I've already got it saved. I got to pull it up. You can be playing within 5 minutes.
Right.
And that, I think, is very attractive.
Yeah, I guess I'm being kind of a fuddy-duddy on this and being...
I agree with you.
An old guy. There's so much... convenience. I guess that's part of my problem is that, and it goes back to the camping example. Convenience is endemic in our society now. People, especially younger people, it's all about convenience. If I can't do it quickly, it's not worth doing. If I can't understand it fast, it's not worth bothering with. And I appreciate convenience, certainly, but at the same time, I think it ruins a lot of things that could be great. Something like cooking. People want cooking done fast. They want to, I want a gourmet meal instantly.
Okay, yeah.
Versus something I got to experience a long time ago that it's rare I get a chance to do it because I'm not a gourmand and none of our friends really are. And but I got a chance to go to a straight up dinner party where we ate a series of courses that were prepared by one of the people who ran the party, who was a chef.
Oh wow!
And by hand. But it was course by course. They cooked each one in front of us as it went. It took us, 2.5 hours to get through this dinner.
Sounds amazing.
It was wonderful. Different experiences and flavors and palate. But I think a lot of people would be turned off by that. Young people today, they'd say, "Oh, I got to wait 2 hours to eat? No, I'm just going to go to McDonald's."
Yeah.
Why would I want to wait? It's we have so much convenience in our lives now that it makes things too easy and too fast to the point where you can't slow down and just appreciate something like, you need to look that spell up in your spell book instead of I've got everything in front of me instantly. I don't know. Like I said,
that'd be the same as me writing everything down on a sheet of paper and just collating it and being clever. Someone's doing that for me.
Yeah.
Instead of having to wait to look something up, I have all of my spells saved right here. I click on the spell, it goes to what that spell does. And it explains it a little bit better than I might have seen it otherwise, or might have explained it otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I can see the benefits of it. I just, as long as it's like almost anything else with gaming, as long as it's implemented in the correct way by a responsible game master who has the good of the game at heart, I guess it's not a bad thing. But I don't know, it just scares me. It makes it feel too much like all of a sudden we're playing World of Warcraft at the tabletop instead of playing.
Well, it's not changing the rules. at all.
True.
It's only the immersion, and then you just put the responsibility back on you as the game master. Yeah. You gotta run a tight ship.
Yeah.
Make sure your players are having fun above all else.
Right.
And then if it's got to be one way or the other, you and I might find ourselves in a situation sooner or later where if we're playing a D&D game, a Pathfinder game, it has to be done online because somebody moves away or
it's hard to get
availability
together at once. Yeah.
And so basically at that point, hang on guys, let me flip my book open, and you could have that all up on the screen right there in front of you.
Right. That's a good point. I thought about that when I was thinking about this topic for tonight about playing a game online. I mean, is purely technological. That it's really hard to have any sort of immersion there. Mm-hmm. But people do it all the time. We've done it before where we've done even just forum games and stuff like that. So I can understand that. It just worries me. It just worries me about kind of the direction of the hobby that we're going to get to the point where people aren't just going to sit around a table with pen and paper and candles and pizza and game in that way anymore. They're going to sit in a brightly lit room and have technology and project things on the wall, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel like
you're right. There is a bit of the ambiance that we would like to continue to have, but we've just got to do it ourselves.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think part of it is, if they're still playing, it's better than it not happening. And as we said before, you're not just going to walk into a store, grab a D&D book off the shelf, read it cover to cover, and then decide you're going to play.
Yeah.
You need someone else to play with you. And so anything we can do to preserve people joining us, knowing what it's all about, and then falling in love with it, they're going to turn their computers off.
Yeah.
They're gonna. I've read books, but it's not until you sit down with that group of people and everybody's in that moment. Your phone's down. It's turned off. Your laptop is closed.
Yeah.
You're not reading your character sheet. You're thinking things through, and then all of a sudden the dragon attacks. Oh crap! Let me go to my book at that point.
Yeah.
But up until then. When that Wookiee is telling his father that he respects him and forgives him and that he's a good Wookiee, people are having trouble holding their breath. I mean, like staying.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of I'm worried about losing those sorts of great character moments where it's happening and somebody's on their D&D app, and they're missing out on what's going on in the game because technology. Honestly, this is something actually that we talk about in the aviation industry because there's a lot of automation involved.
Sure.
We talk about the challenge of automation actually causing you more work, causing you to spend more time than you would otherwise trying to pay attention to the systems rather than what's going on outside the aircraft. So it's the same thing here where I'm afraid that... you're going to spend more time on the app than you would, if you had the book in front of you, you look up, I know where the page is, okay, there it is, there's a description. In the app, you're clicking around, and all of a sudden, I noticed I got a text message too, I better check that. And, you know what, I'm going to check the weather too for the drive. So there's more temptation, there's more distraction, there's more stuff in your face with these kinds of technology. And I guess that's part of my concern too.
That's got to be you as a game master. You have to have
keep things on lockdown.
Control. Keep them on lock, and it sounds more harsh than I mean it to, but that's part of your responsibility. You are running that game. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be there because you have said, I've got this, we're playing a game tonight, join me. And there are other people at the table who may want to be involved and may want to be paying attention. Mm-hmm. It's just this guy over here who won't get off his phone. That's, again, still on you. You gotta rule your table.
Yeah.
And you might get to a point where you say, all right, guys, we've got 10 minutes. Get on your phones, figure out what you need to do, fire up the app, and then once the game is on, I don't want to see you looking down.
I don't want to see him again,
unless we're trying to find the thing on a rule. And this even happened. It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault. But when you left the current game... for a little while, at least. And you sent all the information over to a current player and he has it on his phone.
Right. So now he's got to go on his phone to find it.
So he keeps going on his phone to find out, how much money do you have? Well, what's going on here? Right. And it does take away from the game.
Right.
And I told them, when we get back together, when this game picks back up in a few weeks or months, that needs to be a in-your-hand sheet. Mm-hmm. You need to be looking through your backpack to tell me what you have.
Yeah. Just
saying, oh, I've got it here. I don't know. You could be looking down and go, we have 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
All right, so we are drawing towards the end of episode 16 of the FoundryCast. This has been our Lego episode. Like we said earlier, we spent the whole time sitting here playing around.
I know, this has been crazy. It's been a bit of departure of what we normally do.
It has been, and we've been a bit more freeform in terms of our discussion, just because, like I said, part of our attention has been towards the building process and the searching process. But
and this is what we do. I think we may have said it briefly, but this is kind of what you did. You'd hunt around, you'd have ideas.
Yep.
You might be talking with friends and playing around together. Mm-hmm. It's just your brain is working at a different level. Yeah. It's sort of like when you're streaming a game.
Yeah.
If you're doing a Twitch stream or something, you're paying attention, kind of.
Yeah, but you're also paying attention to what you're saying, and you're trying to be interesting. You're splitting duties in your brain. So it can lead to good stuff and bad stuff, I guess, too. I don't know. It's been fun. It's been, like you said, a departure. A little bit different. I'd like to do some more episodes kind of like this down the road, or maybe doing a separate activity while we're also talking. But
right.
I think we've still had some good discussions, and we've made some cool stuff, apparently. I don't know. I'm looking across the way. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see exactly
I'm about
what you
to hand
together,
it to you. We're seconds away from it being concluded.
Well, so do you want me to introduce what I've made
Do what you've made, because what I've done is I've opted to not use my time wisely and focus on one mega build.
Yeah.
But you've had plenty of time to just rock it out.
I made one big build, and then I made a couple little things to go alongside it.
That's pretty cool, man.
This would work better once we have visual aids with pictures and stuff. But I made a sort of a spaceship airplane, kind of what you would always make as a kid, with a rotating turret with some sort of fancy laser gun on top, or cannon or something.
Yeah.
Because naturally that's what you need. And I like that there's a little pilot with a pilot hat inside flying it, which is cool. And then to go alongside it, there's a door here on the back that opens up like that. Little hatch.
Oh, yeah.
And jumping out from the back are this guy, who is the king of the apocalypse bikers. He fits
in with Mad Max.
He's a pirate guy with a crown, but he's driving a motorcycle with all kinds of cool stuff on it. And then I also found a couple pieces to make a neat little robot with guns as a chest, apparently. I don't know. I'm a robot. Burp. So yeah, those travel in the back of the spaceship, airplane, gunship thing, and they have adventures in space, I guess, or maybe just around the town. I don't know. But it's multicolored. It's you can never find all the colors you need to fill in all the pieces you need with these kinds of things. So it looks like a Lego build, and that's a wonderful thing.
It is.
What about you? What you got?
All right, slapping it on. Oh wait, hang on. I gotta make one quick little adjustment.
That's all right.
I messed it up. Let me just.
Pieces are coming. Okay,
throwing it down on purpose.
Oh,
it's
no!
Okay. It's okay. We got
coming apart.
Breaking, but it'll all come back together.
I'm seeing a mech.
I did what I thought slight riff on the pirate mech from the Lego Movie.
Oh yeah.
Here, I'll gently hand it over to you. Oh my God,
that's super awesome. That is incredible and also very delicate, so I have to be careful.
That's okay.
He's got like a robot arm with like knives on it.
So yeah, I went for their
cool.
It's shipwreck, and they use what they have.
Yeah.
It's still robot, but I tried to add as much sort of steampunky influence. Only one arm. They don't need two arms. They just need one for attacking and defense. The original idea was to have sharks for legs.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't going to work.
That's all right.
There was going to be an arm that was just cannons. That I think,
Fell by the wayside.
That's too much.
That's all right. That's all right. You can modify this design down the road, but it's really cool. We're going to post pictures of all these builds on there, and I think everybody's going to like yours more than like mine because it's
I think themed. Mine is weirder.
But it's also everything. All the pieces look like it's there for a reason, whereas mine is just kind of slapped together from random
but
bits.
yours looks like with the exception of maybe the cool. Roy G. Biv action. I mean the primary red, yellow, blue. But that's just what happens with a lot of Legos. Sure. You end up with a lot of red, a lot of yellow, a lot of blue. But that cannon on top of your Space Cruiser, that's a good use of a ship's mast.
Yes, to be a cannon.
Yeah, because normally you would want it upright, and you have those. I don't know what you call them, the connectors that come out that hold onto the sails. Yeah. Instead, they're up and down that look almost like sights.
Yeah, or strengthening pieces. I don't know. Who knows? That's fun though. Like I said, we'll post some pictures of these builds online on our website, on our Twitter and stuff, so you can see them. I might even release them during the week.
I gotta throw a pirate flag on mine somewhere. Yes. We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do some more tweaking to it, but. Yeah, we'll wrap it up for tonight. Just touch on a couple things we're working on going forward. Actually, just today I took delivery on some more stuff that I had ordered to move on with my resin crafting project that I've been teaching myself resin crafting, mold making, that kind of stuff.
And that's been fun to see because if you haven't gotten your hands into resin crafting, it's tough, but you can do a lot with it. And just a little bit of practice, I think you can build up skill and do some neat stuff like you've already gotten into.
It's interesting. It's not difficult to do, but it is difficult to do well, I guess is the thing. You have to learn the physical skill of pouring, of mixing, of doing all that stuff. So I've been working on that, but today I got in some more resin, but also some metal powder. So this week I'm going to do some cold casting, which is where you mix metal powder in, makes sort of a metallic cast. It's really cool stuff. So I'll be doing some videos about that, and they'll be released during the week. I might stream it. I don't know. We'll see. But watch out for that. It probably will be up, some of it even before this podcast hits the air. How about you? What you working on?
Here's the funny thing. Witches and Wizards is so D&D based and so easy to get into, but I found it kind of difficult, even with what I do, to match the theme. That I couldn't get stuff out quick enough because just as you saw me tonight with these dang Legos, I second guess myself. I try to do things in my head, and eventually I have to scrap it. Right. The tutorial on doing the wand I really wanted to do. I didn't feel like I was breaking any new ground. I still want to do it, but I haven't found a technique of doing photographs or describing it that made me very satisfied. So I've got, I would say, 3/4 of it just sitting there without knowing how much further I want to go, or if I just I'll use my time more wisely, do something else instead. In the meantime, I have 2 blogs that are all they need are to be edited one more time, just that final pass through. Right. One is for the blocks, and then one is from not Harry Potter month, the Witches and Wizards month. Right. But I still
which was our theme
writing
last month.
Last month, the February theme. Yeah. But I enjoyed writing it so much, I can't scrap that. It's just going to go in there. Not everything has to be this month's theme.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's going to go up tomorrow, so it'll be up on Tuesday, just after the podcast is before the podcast.
Before the podcast,
out. And then I really enjoyed us getting together and doing the Minecraft or something like fun. That.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been doing some Twitch streaming together, playing Minecraft lately. So look to us to do some more of that for sure. Minecraft and maybe some other games as well. But for sure some Minecraft at the very least. We'll try to do some more of that.
It's simple, and yet there's so much. Even doing that map from last night, Hero Brian's Manor.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And my ultimate goal in that would be that the community joins us.
Yeah, I'd love to get some other
comes
folks
on the same server or what have you.
Absolutely.
That might be even more fun. And that's kind of where we were wanting to go with it in the first place.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually, but for now we can still jump on there just together, just us, and have some fun too. But yeah, I think that'll bring it to an end tonight for another episode of the FoundryCast. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a sort of an errant just superfluous idea that I had, seeing some of your Legos in the corner here, made me think of mine. I said, let's really do this. It'd be kind of fun and crazy. So getting to this, I wouldn't say it's a dream come true, but it's something that we thought of 10 episodes ago.
Well, quite a long
several
time ago.
months ago. And I think if we keep sticking with the things that inspire us the most, we'll have the most fun.
Yeah.
And I think that makes for a much more enjoyable product in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. This has been a show about what inspires us. Lego has always inspired us since we were kids, and hopefully it's inspired some of you guys as you've listened to us play around and talk about some things to create and enjoy maybe some stuff you've forgotten about.
The last 2 weeks have fired me up, so I'm hoping to ride the wave of inspiration and try to be clever and share it with as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And can't say enough how much we appreciate anyone for checking us out here on the FoundryCast podcast. So until next time, I'm a yellow Lego that doesn't fit.
And I'm a squirt bottle that you used to squirt cats with.
And we'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody. It's not going to be as big as the big one, the big mess of '86. Well, when that bean factory exploded and the beans went everywhere.